Hi everybody. We are going to be making steak Diane today, and it will be accompanied by some risotto. I've been having steak Diane at Capriccios for more than 40 years. It's my favorite dish there. Gino was the master chef who always prepared it at your table. I'm not able to duplicate his recipe, but I think mine is also pretty good, and it's pretty easy. It's pretty easy to make, and it's really, really delicious. And the risotto we're going to be making today is, I'm doing it in the Instant Pot, which is a very quick, easy way to make pretty decent risotto. So we'll be doing that. Bob Ferreira is here. My good friend Bob is going to help with a few things today. And we are really happy to be doing this. This is fun. We haven't done this in a long time. And so I'm going to start getting the steak ready. And we have 2 pieces of tenderloin. Should be about, an inch, inch and a half thick. And I cut them in half because it's easier to cook that way, and it gives it a nicer taste. So just cut them both in half, and then I'm going to season them with salt and pepper on both sides. And then I flatten them just a little bit like that, and then just brush a little Dijon on one side. What I have is about a little over a cup of mushrooms and 1 onion and a shallot. And I process these in the food processor. That's good. Won't use all of that, and we'll leave that aside for a minute. I'm going to get the risotto started, and Bob is going to grate some cheese for us. You're going to need about, I'd say 3/4 of a cup of cheese, and this is Pecorino Romano, but you can use Parmesan if you want, whatever you'd like. And I don't know if that's going to work easily for you, Bob, but is that working? Yeah. Okay, very good. All right, so for the risotto, again, I'm using an Instant Pot, which is the easiest way to do this. And, you can, for sides, you could do potatoes, you could do pasta, you can do anything you want with this. But I thought risotto would be a nice choice. So I've set the Instant Pot to saute. We'll let that heat up a little bit. While that's heating up, I'm going to get this skillet going. A little oil in the bottom of the Instant Pot, and this is 1 chopped onion. And you want to cook that for about 5 minutes, just until it's soft. Once the onion has softened, almost cooked, you're going to add the risotto, which is a cup of risotto, arborio rice. And just stir that up a little bit. And let that cook for about 2 minutes. And we have 2 cups of chicken broth here, and that's going to go into the risotto. And then you turn the saute off. Okay. I think that's sealed. All right, and you set this on pressure cook for 6 minutes. Let's move on to the steak Diane. Okay. And just put a little oil on the bottom of the pan, let that heat up a bit. And you don't need to use the whole thing here, just about, let's say about a cup of it. And just get that started. As that's cooking, you can just get the steaks in. And I cook the steaks for about 2 minutes on each side. They won't be cooked completely, but we're going to put them back in the sauce after. Okay, it's been about 2 minutes, so we can flip these steaks. Just kind of mush them around there. We'll let that cook for a couple of minutes. These steaks are just about done, so I put them either on a plate or I use one of these little foil things here. Let them rest for a while. Just tent that with a piece of foil. We'll come back to those later. Okay, here we're going to make the sauce, which is the magic. So you start with some beef broth. And we're working at it with a 12-inch skillet, which is kind of deep, about an inch, inch and a half deep. You want to pour enough beef broth in to get it about halfway up. And then you're going to bring that to a boil and let that reduce for about 10 minutes. Okay, the beef broth has reduced by about half. And so now you want to add about a tablespoon of Dijon mustard, and that's to taste. I like the taste of it, so I like getting a decent amount in there. And then add some heavy cream, say about a 1/4 cup. And just stir that around, let that simmer a bit. Then I just want to taste this to see if it needs salt and pepper. Bob, could you give that a taste? Mm-hmm. I think it needs a little salt. But again, that's the taste. And you'll notice the risotto, it'll be ready in about 2 minutes. So the magic here is when you flambe it. And so I'm going to heat up a little bit of cognac. You can use brandy. And again, at Capriccios, I do this right in the pan and tip it over and it just lights up. But I get it all over the stove when I do that. And at this point, it's good to add about 2 tablespoons of butter to the sauce. Okay, risotto's ready. At this point, you want to do a quick release. And Bob, could you come back here? Okay. Now Bob, could you put a couple of tablespoons of the butter in there, stir it around, and then the cheese. Okay? Okay? Okay, at this point, you want to put the steaks back into the sauce. You let that simmer in that sauce for a couple of minutes. And the steaks are pretty rare, but that's the way I like them, but you can cook them to taste. Again, I leave them in here for about 3 or 4 minutes so they absorb some of the sauce. Now I've heated this up a little bit so it's kind of warm, and okay, and then you light that up, and again, this part is completely optional. But it's kind of cool. Let that burn off. And you know, when you're doing this too, you don't have to light the cognac. You can just pour about a 1/4 cup into the sauce and let it boil for a couple of minutes. But it really impresses your guests when you boil it, when you light it on fire. Okay, this is ready. All right, and Bob, I'm going to ask you to spoon out a little bit of risotto on the plates. How's that look? Oh, that's good.
Looks great.
Yeah, good. Oops. Put a little sauce on there. Wipe up the plate. Steak Diane, Cabernet Sauvignon.